It is now confirmed at Alabama Crimson football. Finally, the battle for control of the offense is starting to take shape, and what is happening behind the scenes could surprise a lot of people. But how did this player manage to put his name ahead of the other candidates and get so close to taking over the most important position on the offense? Stay until the end because the details of this competition reveal why Kalen DeBoer is still holding off on making a decision and what could help this quarterback win the QB1 job. Austin Mack and Keelon Russell are locked in such a close battle that even Kalen DeBoer admits he still does not have a definitive answer. But hold on, because there is one detail in this competition that could be decisive for the future of Alabama's offense, and shortly, I am going to show you exactly what is making this decision so difficult and who may be starting to gain ground behind the scenes. The battle between Austin Mack and Keelon Russell has reached a point where even those closely following the practices are having a hard time identifying a clear winner. We're not talking about a competition in which one player has pulled ahead while the other is trying to catch up. The situation is much more complicated. Both have strong arguments, both have already had positive moments, and most importantly, Kalen DeBoer still has not found enough reasons to end the competition. And that puts Alabama in an extremely delicate situation. Choosing a starting quarterback is not simply about deciding who throws the ball better. It means handing over control of an entire team, determining who will be responsible for managing the offense, making decisions under pressure, and leading the team when the season truly begins. And according to the latest information, that answer is still far from obvious. To understand why this competition has become so close, we have to go back a few months. Ty Simpson, who took over the starting position last season, left Alabama for the NFL after declaring for the 2026 draft. With his departure, the door that had previously been closed to the other quarterbacks suddenly opened wide, and two names immediately began receiving all the attention: Austin Mack and Keelon Russell. On one side is Austin Mack. The quarterback arrived at Alabama from Washington and already knows the system used by Kalen DeBoer and offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. He already knows the terminology, the concepts, how the coaches want the unit to operate, and what is expected from a quarterback within this system. In addition, Mack saw limited action last season, but he completed 24 of 32 passes for 228 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also saw action in the Rose Bowl against Indiana, finishing that game with 11 completions on 16 attempts for 103 yards. It's not a huge sample size, but it's real experience in high-pressure situations. But on the other side is a player that makes this competition even more interesting: Keelon Russell. Russell arrived at Alabama surrounded by high expectations after being considered one of the top talents in his high school class. In 2025, he appeared in only 2 games, but completed 11 of 15 passes for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, with greater knowledge of the system and a much bigger opportunity ahead of him, Russell is trying to turn potential into a starring role. And this is where the competition becomes truly unpredictable. Because Austin Mack has the experience, Keelon Russell has explosive talent and a playmaking ability that draws attention. Austin Mack offers familiarity with the system. Russell offers a performance ceiling that could change the dynamic of a game. And when you put those two characteristics side by side, it becomes much harder for the coaching staff to simply point to one name and move forward. Kalen DeBoer himself has already made it clear that the decision will be difficult. During preparation for the season, the coach explained that both quarterbacks had made significant progress and that the difference between them was not enough to turn the competition into a simple choice. DeBoer also indicated that qualities such as composure, command of the offense, decision-making, and leadership will be critical in determining who gets the first opportunity. And there's another point that cannot be ignored. Kalen DeBoer doesn't appear interested in turning this season into a permanent 2-quarterback experiment. The idea, according to information released during preparation, is to find a clear leader to command the offense. That increases the pressure on both Mack and Russell even further, because it's not enough to have a few good practices. It's not enough to make spectacular throws. It's not enough to show talent. The player who wins this competition needs to convince the coaching staff that he can carry the responsibility of being the face of Alabama's offense. And the first major test of this battle has already taken place. In the first fall scrimmage, Russell drew attention with his performance and showed exactly why there are so many expectations surrounding him. At the same time, Austin Mack continued to make a strong case for himself, especially because of his experience and familiarity with the system. The evaluation following the practice did not produce a definitive decision. Instead, the situation remained open. That's what makes everything so interesting for Alabama Crimson football. Russell may have impressed, but that doesn't automatically mean he has won the job. Mack may currently be in a favorable position in some camp evaluations, but that also doesn't mean the decision is over. The competition remains alive, precisely because both players are giving the coaching staff different reasons to choose them. And now comes the most important part. The coaching staff needs to determine not only who has more talent, but who can turn that talent into consistent production. Who makes the best decisions when the defense applies pressure? Who protects the ball better? Who can keep the offense moving when the first play doesn't work? Who leads his teammates? Who shows the most control? And perhaps most importantly, who can remain calm when the game actually counts? Ryan Grubb has already pointed in exactly this direction by explaining that on-field production, ball security, the ability to operate the offense, and scoring touchdowns will carry weight in this decision. In other words, the competition will not be won simply through reputation or expectations. The performance has to show up on the field. And there's a huge consequence behind all of this. Alabama is not simply choosing a quarterback for one game. The team is choosing who will begin building the offensive identity for an entire season. The Crimson Tide are coming off an 11 wins, 4-loss season and enter 2026 needing to show improvement in several areas. Therefore, finding stability at the most important position on the offense could be crucial to preventing uncertainty from continuing into the start of the season. The season opener is scheduled for September 5th against East Carolina at Bryant-Denny Stadium. That means Alabama still has some time to evaluate both quarterbacks, but every practice, every scrimmage, and every opportunity becomes more important as the calendar moves forward. And perhaps that's exactly what makes this story so fascinating. Alabama is not simply looking for the quarterback who can make the prettiest play. The team is looking for the player the coaching staff believes can control an entire season. Austin Mack has experience in the system and has already shown that he can perform the role. Keelon Russell has enough talent and potential to make fans imagine an even more dynamic offense. For now, there is no confirmation that one of them has eliminated the other. The competition remains open, and that's the most important reality at this moment. For Alabama Crimson football fans, that means the next few weeks will be crucial. Every practice can change the coaching staff's perception. Every scrimmage can bring one of the two quarterbacks closer to the job, and one consistent stretch of performances could be exactly what Kalen DeBoer needs to finally make his decision. But when the first ball goes up at Bryant-Denny Stadium, the uncertainty will have to end. One quarterback will receive the responsibility to lead Alabama in 2026. The question is, will it be Austin Mack, the quarterback who knows the system deeply and has already shown that he can perform the role, or Keelon Russell, the talented prospect who continues to make the coaching staff believe he could become something special? At this moment, the answer has not yet been decided, and perhaps that's exactly why this is one of the most important quarterback battles to follow all the way to the season opener. Now, I want to hear your opinion. If the decision had to be made today, who should be Alabama Crimson football's QB1, Austin Mack or Keelon Russell? Leave the name in the comments and explain why, because this battle is still wide open, and Kalen DeBoer's decision could determine much more than simply which quarterback will be the first to step onto the field.